Hi there, my name's Annabel Crabb and I work at the ABC, and one of my jobs is to host the history program Back in Time for Dinner. And in fact, we're just in the middle of finishing off and editing our latest series, which is going to go to air in, I think, about May. And what we're doing this time round is obliging our long-suffering TV family, the Pharaohs, to go all the way back to the 1900s. And so what that's meant is a lot of research into events of 100 years ago. Things like the Federation of Australia, World War I, the Great Depression, the Spanish flu pandemic. And it's kind of weird to be researching these huge global events at the same time as we're living through one in the present day. And it's made me look at history differently, actually. Because, you know, history used to be a sort of a static, kind of a straight-laced affair. The history of huge global events would be written usually by men, in a way that captured the testimonies and responses of big, important people. But putting together a record of these times for Back in Time for Dinner, we've actually relied on all sorts of different resources that are more to do with the experience of ordinary people and their everyday lives. In researching this series, we've looked at things like, well, recipe books, obviously, and looking at the amendments in family recipe books over the course of the Great Depression taught us a lot about how families coped with that event. We've looked at letters between householders, the diaries of soldiers at the front and the families that they left behind. Now, we all know from the diary of Anne Frank that a diary written by a child trapped in 4 constrictive walls can tell us a huge amount of humanity, about humanity. So, what are we going to do now that we're stuck in the middle of a global event that's every bit as profound as those ancient historical events? Well, we have a lot of advantages over Anne Frank. We have a lot of technology to help us record our own experiences of what this time was like, almost as a gift to future historians. So, what will your record of this time look like? It needn't be a diary, although it might be. It might be a short story. It might be a play. It might be a video log. It might be a cartoon or a painting or a sound recording. But in order to set out on the way to achieving this task of creating a gift for future historians, you need to think about your own experience and observe yourself maybe as a stranger might. You have a look at perhaps the difference between the way you're living life now and the way you lived life a month ago. What are you doing now that you didn't do then? What are you not doing now that you did do then? How differently do you feel about life? Do you feel more frightened? Do you feel more engaged in the lives of those directly around you? Do you feel trapped? Are you going crazy? What are you eating? What are you wearing? How are you interacting with your friends? All of these ideas, if you make a list of them and observe your own life as a stranger might observe you, you'll find differences and themes emerging that might spark a creative idea about how you can record this period of your life. And it's the flotsam and jetsam of details of ordinary life that make up the building blocks of history, which will be written beginning now of this profound event through which we're all living. So maybe try writing down a conversation that you have with your friend, recording an interaction with your family. Don't give us too much detail about toilet paper, obviously, although that's a very clear jumping off point. The big thing to remember is there is actually no way of getting this wrong. I am currently recording this while my daughter is mocking me behind the camera, and so I'd like you all to understand what an incredibly good job I'm doing of working whilst being mocked by my 13-year-old. Part of what we're all having to get used to, am I right? Anyway, like I said, there's no way of getting this wrong. There's only one person who can really accurately record your specific, subjective experience of this vast global event that we're all experiencing right now. So get to it, and good luck. Stop that.